Hello, hello! Hi, kiddos! This is Yovy, your friend, a former media corporate in broadcasting, and an entrepreneur venturing in podcasting. How are you? How are you? Welcome, welcome. Alrighty. Hello, my friends and fellow workers. We are here in the Joey D show. Yes, your friend has been away for quite a while, but just a hot minute. I am back. I'm your host, Joey D, and I have a great guest around here. And I know her as Rachel, but you guys are going to see her as Alex and Nikolay. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves because they have a wonderful business, product, mission going on. And as you guys know, it's all about enhancing the entrepreneurs. I'm done speaking. Go ahead, Nikolay.
Hi, Nikolay here. So happy to be on here. Thanks for having us on as your guest. Excited to be here. Yeah, Alex and myself, we are the founders of Ohlay, which is a culture design company. And so we designed experiences for individuals as well as for organizations to be a little bit more human. The reason that people stay at organizations or leave organizations is whether they're connected to their work and if they're connected to each other. And so that's what we do. That's what we focus on. And so we design and create experiences for humans at work and humans at life.
All right, Alex, your turn.
Yeah, to just build a little bit on what Nikolay says, I feel like well-being is so undervalued at times. A lot of times it's profit or progress or productivity that really comes before recognizing each individual and each community as just being human and having our own needs and our desires and wants and dreams. And so a lot of times when that doesn't fit with what the business, an aspect of like the business, a lot of times it's deprioritized or it's put to the side. And so a lot of times when we work with individuals, they're like, oh, that's nice, but we have to do this first. We can do that later. And later never comes. And so for us, it's really talking with individuals, companies, leaders, and really advocating that you need to take care of yourself. That when we don't do our own personal work, like that heart work and that well-being work, it can come at a huge cost, not just for ourselves, but for other people and for communities as a whole. So this is something we care a lot about. This is something that we just always get so excited to talk to others who are passionate about that work as well.
Alrighty. So as you know a little bit about my show, I can always kind of like intertwine because my personal experience was kind of transferring skills, like innovating yourself. And I know that you guys have a little bit of a backup story of how it's like how we got here. Just a little bit, just a little bit of saying, okay, this is what happened, but this is what we created based on the experiences that we had, and we wanted to share our knowledge and continue forward by, seeing what's going on. Who wants to start? Who wants to go ahead first?
I can kick things off here first. And so both of our backgrounds are very entrepreneurial. We have respectively started our own companies, and that's actually how we met through the LA startup ecosystem. I was launching different accelerator and pre-accelerator programs, and Nikolay happened to be one of the founders that came through that program. And so through that experience, we were really able to talk business, but also talk about the things that were missing for us. And that thing that was really missing was all around why our company exists. It's our own well-being. We were feeling burnt out, anxious. We were feeling like we were on this hamster wheel and other people were telling us what we should do and what the next steps of our business were. And that kind of conflicted with what we were feeling for ourselves. We were like, well, that doesn't feel right. And they said, that's okay. Just fake it until you make it. And so we started not trusting that little voice in our heart and our head. That little voice is like, let's go this way. This is what our dreams are like. Let's do it this way. And so we just felt that we were compromising ourselves and overcomplicating things because of that. And so Nikolay was sunsetting his business. I was ready. I had already run almost like a dozen cohorts for the accelerator and pre-accelerator. So I was ready for my next adventure. And our conversations really brought us together. And we just recognized that a passion for us was really around people and relationships. And we paired that with the things that we felt were missing for us, which was that focus on like well-being, that love of what makes us human, and really integrating that within the workplace. And so that really came together. And since then, we've just been growing. And the interesting part is we started this business just because we had trust in each other, and we really were on the same page in terms of this is how we see the world. This is our vision, but we had no idea that was going to be. Like, we didn't know what our project was going to be. We didn't know what our services were going to be. We just started out from this place of trust. And through that trust, we started finding and discovering that voice again, that voice of saying, this is why I'm here. This is what is valuable. And this is what we want to do.
Oh my God. Wow. All righty. Nikolay, you are up.
Hey, you covered so much. But I think it's spot on. It's, when by the time we got together, we were like, work sucks. Why does this suck so much? Like,
Say that louder. I'm like, it's scary, guys, but it comes to a point that you really have to like that inner thirst
yeah,
has to be fulfilled at one point.
yes. And it's funny because it's like either it sucks because of the work you're doing, or it sucks because of the people you're doing it with, right? Like, we've all worked at places that we love what we're doing, but we don't like the people we're working with, or we really love the people that we're working with, but where we're working and the work that we're doing is not working for us. But I think what Alex said is like spot on, is like there is that trust. When we were first starting, we would journal. We were both like avid journalers, and we would just journal, hey, what do you think about this company name? What do you think about working with this client and charging them this much? What do you think about this scope? And we would just individually journal about it, and then hand over each other's journal to each other, or talk about what we wrote down. And we were like, oh, this is like actually really helpful in our communication and our progress. And then we infused it in our client work. When we were working with clients, we're like, hey, how about you journal? And then like, are you comfortable sharing what you wrote down, as like a process of like healthier, more open communication of helping each other and us understand what's going on. And then about 6 months into it, we realized every client that we worked with, regardless of the scope of work or the size of the client, or how big the team was, we're like, we asked them all to journal. We didn't mean to do it, but we all had them journal as part of the process for their development. And so like, I think there's something here. I think we need to lean into this. And so I think that's where, after we got together and started working with individuals and focusing on, development and well-being, when we were like, there's social journaling, there's something here as using this as a facilitated process to help people connect with themselves, do that process that you talked about, of like the self-reflection, the self-awareness of like what's going on first and foremost within me. And then how do I communicate to the people that I'm working with, the direct relationships, my coworkers, the people that I'm with all the time. And then how is that actually impacting, the organization and the things that get done, so that work doesn't suck or the people that we do it with don't suck.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like, so you guys were gonna ask me some questions, or if I've been journalizing. I remember, what I'm thinking about? I remember that way before I even stepping into this podcast, I used to record like journalizing my thoughts and videos and those moments. And I have it in my phone somewhere, and I'm like, those moments that you talking and reflecting about certain situations and how you could do it better, or what went wrong here, could I handle it differently? And that's one way. And I like writing things down, but yeah, that's what was kind of like the go-to move for me, recording reflections.
Yovy, I'm curious, like, what prompted you to start recording yourself and kind of having this verbal journal for yourself? And like, ultimately, what did you get out of it? What did you see as the benefit from it?
Oh my goodness. First of all, most of it was growth. I want to really be transparent with you guys. It was also because I think it was the result of a relationship that ended, broken up with somebody. So, and it was heavy. It was tense. It was toxic, yes, and I just had to I said, okay, before I even get into any other relationship, I need to sort this out. I need to figure out what exactly is happening here. And I have to hold myself accountable on my part on whatever traits is going on with me before I meet somebody new. I don't feel that this person should be responsible of me just bringing this. We all have a baggage or suitcase, but the healing, I'm supposed to be the best version of myself to this new person, and I was like, that's it. I need to work on myself and figure out this. I want a healthy relationship. I profess that to the universe that this is what I want, but I needed to start with me. Tell me what's going on here.
So much healing. I just love that so much. I'm laughing and smiling because I'm going through my own version. We all are on our own journey of that. But I'm also smiling and laughing because, I joke about like work sucking because I'm like just trying to be crude and like simplify it. But also like I'm laughing because we bring that to work, right? Like all that brokenness and suitcases. And so then when we get feedback from a coworker or we get in a microaggression from a coworker or just discrimination of all kinds, it's like all these other things that are like come along with it, right? That are all connected to it. And it's just like, how can we just like, even as humans, like start with ourselves? I think that's like so powerful that you had like the insight and also like the motivation. Cause I actually hate hearing my voice and I hate like hearing the recording. So I think that is so cool that you're like, well, I'm just gonna do this. I'd love to know, like, was it uncomfortable at first, and were there things that you wouldn't record? Because even for myself, when I physically journal every day,
Right. Like,
it's developed. That practice is developed. It's not like what it was when it started. So I'd love to hear about that journey.
right. At the beginning, as you'd be like, I don't want to be on camera. I just want to record my voice, and I will put it in black or not big. But then I was like, you know what? It's just it was an internal. You know what? I felt like I was like in an MTV, and then you're like in the confessional, and then you're like talking to yourself, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna see. But basically, you're talking about yourself in third person, but and you cry, you breathe, and then you make the scenario, what happened, what went on, how this compose, how did it, and you have texts of your ex and the information, and you go back and see, okay, what went wrong, or how was that handled? Am I, and I'm speaking in this way because obviously I want to make sure to my audience this, and I've been also in therapy. I decided to finally get that therapy going because on stages of your life, may that be professionally, for work, for anything, we need a tune-up, just like your car, an oil change. You're bringing the episodes and phases that we go through life, and it's something I will say that it's also part of personal care. That's what I want to put it there. Personal care. So yes, that's how it happened. And I go back because I realized also that somewhere in life we get the same lessons. It's presented in different ways, but it's the same lesson. And the lesson was self-love. The lesson was believe in your own intuition. Listen to it's telling you right there. And when it's about red flags, the red flags were there. I decided to ignore them. And I was like, no, but he's amazing. He's this and that. I'm finding all of this. But the red flags were there. The warnings were there. And, you live and learn. You live and learn. And that's the outcome. It was a lesson. It was a reason. It was for me. And, and thank God, I will say I am the kind of person that is like, put a pause, let's not jump into another relationship, just reflect here a little bit and then continue your run. And then obviously, work. And I think it also reflects in work. If you're not appreciated, if you're not listening to, if you're not contributing and you feel like it's not happening and you're feeling stuck, that's also a relationship with your work, your career, your well-being.
Love that, because like with everything that you're sharing, it's really stressing that before any relationship with anything external, we have to have that strong relationship with ourselves, with our internal, and like really think about like, what am I rooted in? Like, who am I? What are my strengths? What are my dreams? What is my confidence, my courage built on? But also like, what are my fears? What is my grief? And like just understanding what are those edges? And that takes time and that takes investment. And it's hard work, like to build that relationship with yourself, like to put that mirror in front of you and communicate, like, this is where I'm strong, but this is also where I'm weak. And to be okay with that, like to sit with yourself and still feel like you're in comfort with that. And that's like incredible. It's like, I think a lot of times when a relationship, especially with something or someone external, and something goes bad, like a lot of times we're like, okay, let's shove that under the rug, or we will judge, we will blame, like, oh, or let's just close that book. Like, I'm just not going to deal with it anymore. But that left something on you. There's like an imprint on you. And a lot of times, like, we don't take that time or that energy to heal, to address that. And I really do think that any sort of like healing, comfort, love, that like starts with yourselves.
Yeah. 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 Because even a perfect example in my journey also with the whole career, in the period of 5 years, getting laid off 3 times. At the third time, I was like, okay, I'm taking time out. I need to figure out this one. I was fortunate enough to take a sabbatical. It was like 3 or 4 months, but oh my God, it was just the best time of all time. And I was able to connect with friends, with family in a different level, be authentically present. And I was like, oh my God, this is the energy that I'm putting out. This is what I want. And I'm like, I need to work at this level, and then obviously then get back again to reality, and due to circumstances and situations that were really out of my control, that I just needed to just get back into it because health issues on my mom, and but then just buckle up. But that training, that experience helped me assess and just go forward with what I wanted. But it gave me that feeling of, okay, this is how I want to operate, and this is what is important to me.
I love that. I have a question for you because
Okay.
I'm going like through my own process of transition, and I'm always like, I'm ready to be through it, right? I'm done. Like I thought about it, I've talked about it, I went to therapy, I journaled about it, I worked out, I've yoga, I've meditated, I've done all the things, right? But I'm ready to be done. Like Alex, I related with the closing the book or like just shoving it under the rug. I'm ready to move on. But it takes time, right? Like it's like waves, and it's like almost like circles, and it's like sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, and sometimes you think you moved on, and then sometimes you're like, wait, have I even made any progress? But progress is being made because I know I've invested in myself. So my question for you is like, what do you tell yourself or to other people, like as they're on this journey of like, you're doing these things for yourself, that you're investing, you're doing the right things. Like, what do you tell yourself when you're like in the middle of it and you still haven't gone through all the way, but you're not where you started or where you were?
That's exactly what I said. And I think if you hear my early shows, it's really started more of a personalized, journalized, confessional. Those are first episodes were really a reflection of, you may not have all the answers, and you're not supposed to. I'm like, we're really not supposed to know the how. We just have to know what we want. And then the how will develop on its own, for it. You write it down, you set a plan, it's scary. I believe that I myself, I'm a extroverted kind of person in certain spaces. Very coy, very, very shy, but I like challenging myself. And that's what I realized. It was like, it's not that I was lack of interest. It was just my mind was so bored and I needed to be challenged even more to the highest that, I'm like, I'm coming from a network. The shows are live, high adrenaline all the time. And I was like, what is this? My performance was just go, 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 go. And then with podcasts, what was the best highlight was I was very analytic, but then my creativity burst out. And I was like, oh my God, I never used this side of my brain in a long time. That's what's happened.
That's amazing. So now that your creativity is out, like, how is that changing your work? Like, how is that changing the impact that you're making?
It's incredible. I just want to put so much more, Sometimes it costs also downward, like depression, like you want to do so much, but then you really have to get grounded and say, I have to work with what I have. I have to work with what I have. Is people are responding. The first best answer that I got out of all this experiences, and it started like something for me. And then now, obviously now fast forward, it has been shared with my friends and families and they know what's going on. But because I was getting I was seeking for outside approval instead of my own approval. So then I got a lot of no's, a lot of this and discouragement. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with the first, fiercest response of all, the people. If I don't like it, they'll tell me if I suck. If they do like it, I will know for sure because they don't even know me. So I'm not going to get a biased answer. That was really crazy. And obviously, fast forward, people like it. And I'm like, okay. No, that's what happened to me. And that's where I'm at here. Oh, yeah, I am. I really am. So I had a question for you, Nikolay. What was your answer? Remember that I had a question for you that we left it because I want to give a background was, every time that you have an interview and then kind of you talk to your guests so they know. And then I had a question for Nikolay, but I told him, Nikolay, you're going to answer that question in the podcast. So are you ready?
Oh gosh. Am I ready? I'm not sure if I'm ready. I think I have to look up that question now. Must have written it down. Yeah, in my notes.
Yeah, since you mentioned question. So
here, I have the question up. I'll read it out loud, Nikolay. So think
awesome. Alex, yes.
So Yovy's question was, is it possible with everything that's happening currently on the world, in our city, within our own personal lives and the pace that it's moving? Because technology has quickened everything, right? The metaverse, AI, like all of these new startups. Is it possible that we are losing those fundamentals as a human being?
I must say no. And let me tell you why. I'm going to go back to work sucking and people sucking. People have sucked forever before technology, right? And I do think technology and the way the world is right now has definitely, it's introduced new problems that we have never dealt with before. I do think that that's important to acknowledge and address. But at the end of the day, it's people behind the technology that are building the technology that's discriminating. It's the people that are building the AIs. It's the people that are building organizations. It's the people in leadership. And so that's why I get so excited about the work that we do is it's a human problem that we're trying to address. And I don't think it's necessarily about like fixing it. But I do think it's about like addressing the humanity. But it's challenging because I think it's like for me, I'm a very extreme person. I love to be like, you know what? If we just got rid of like all the social media platforms, like we'd be a lot better, right? Life would be much better. And I'm like, but it will it? Like, we'll find something else. Like, us humans are just so creative and like
Very curious.
know how to just, curious and know how to just find the next thing to just like put each other down. And it comes down to, power. It comes down to fear. So that's a very simplistic answer to that question, but I did think about it. And even when you first asked it, because I do think that us as a generation are dealing with things that we've never dealt with before, and they're new because of like the access and connectivity. But I would love to turn that question back on you, Alex, and also you, Yovy, as like the host.
Alex is next.
Okay, I'll take it first. I'm glad you went first, Nikolay, because it helps to reorient a little bit what would have been my gut response to it. And I'm like, I think it's hard to forget the fundamentals of human being because we are constantly reminded. And I feel like it might not be good reminders. It might be gut punch reminders like feeling, grief or feeling burnt out or feeling anxious or feeling stressed. But all of those things are such human emotions, like human sensations. And so I think it's more about the world is changing so much. It's asking with the introduction and the pace that we're moving at, I think what it's asking is for people to people are also just getting stronger. Like there are so many more things that could potentially distract us or move us away from what we feel like is our value and purpose. But I do think that those fundamentals of what makes us human are always there and always waiting if we lose our way, right? Like that emotion, that gut, that, our bodies are constantly reminding us that we're human. And for me, like a huge thing that I love to like study and think about a lot is just the relationship each person has with their mind and their body. I feel like our mind is such a place where we want to keep up with everything, know all the tech that's going on, like the efficiency, the productivity, the innovative, like that wants to know. But I think that our bodies will always let us know if we're tired, if we're going the wrong way.
Yes.
And I think it's more of for each person, because we're all different, right? We all have these different definitions and different balances. It's that personal adventure that we need to take to find the balance in the relationship between the two.
Okay, cool. All right. So getting down to business, how people can find you, who is your best, target client, who would like to reach out or who you would like to reach out to? What is, the ultimate message here?
Yeah. I think our website is probably the best place.
Okay.
Ohlay.com. That's OH-LAY.com. And my favorite thing that we do is host a monthly social journaling group for the last Monday of every month. And it's really a place where we're building community with like-hearted individuals, people who want to challenge their thinking, that want to do some self-reflection in the space of community. And we pick a theme every month and explore that theme. And so I would invite people to join us for Last Mondays. I think that's the best place to actually get an idea of like, what the heck is this social journaling thing that people are doing? And who are these people? So you can find that on our website. Or if you just want to journal together, reach out to us or email us from our website. Or that's what we do is we figure out how to journal and process and make sense of things through that as one of the tools.
Excellent. So, okay. Any last words? I really appreciate you guys. This was a great exercise. I hope that you guys definitely follow up. You guys can find me always on most of the platforms like social media on Instagram and LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it. You guys know how the drill goes. And I really want to appreciate you. And Alex, anything else you would like to add? And before we wrap it up, and I definitely appreciate you. This is a great exercise. Check it out. I'm going to leave all the information in the show notes. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, the one thing that we end all our engagements is don't do life alone. Go if you learn something, if you're excited about something, even if, you just need to vent it out, like go find the people in your life, make those relationships, share. We really think that connecting with other people and yourself is really just the healing aspect of it. So don't do life alone.
Excellent. So, with that being said, I'm going to close out. This is the Yovy Show, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.